Who doesn't like buying a brand new home? Just like a brand new car, right? I mean, it's got that smell, it's got that feel. And
new house, I can't afford a new house. I think that builders really got really good at building efficiency homes. I'm not always building the biggest, baddest home. The more we drive that price up, the more buyers that can't afford it.
You're shrinking your market.
And that's why I think those townhouses are so popular and the smaller square foot houses are.
Contractors have been busy for a long time. The generation that are passing these homes on, the 1940s and 1950 homes. There might be good, strong structures, but they have outdated kitchens, outdated baths, right? And the new generation, they don't want that. They want to have something more modern. They're really putting a lot of money into these older homes. A lot of them need that doing all over again.
I think people realize life's so short. What's changed since COVID is I feel like people respect time a lot more. Now people are like, how can I do less?
Hey guys, it's Dan Gouveia from the Gouveia Real Estate here, and I have Mark Mason from Eastside Home Solutions. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Always.
So we're what, July 2025, halfway through the year. And we just want to have some free discussions on real estate, new construction, consumers, kind of what's going on out there, and maybe hopefully it can bring some value to the audience out there on what's going on and kind of maybe help them out a little bit. So with that, anything freely you want to kind of talk about as far as like what you do for your business, how you're seeing things and consumers and so forth?
Yeah, no, I mean, so me and Dan were just getting into it a little bit before we hopped on camera here, and we were talking about a little bit about the inventory. Obviously, we've been facing over the past couple of years. Specifically, Dan was attracted to us because of the new construction that we do. So I think it's a good idea to go through that because I do feel like new construction is still booming, right? I think it looks different nowadays than it did prior.
Right.
And I've done a fair share in the area. I've been growing in that new construction field. I think that we've been really trying to, transition from the rehabs that we specialized in from like 2015 to like 2020.
Yep.
To we really got into the land acquisition in 2020. So today I think we just want to really give that value to see like, what you think about the new construction, what we can give for value about, what we know about it and what's coming up for the rest of 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like buying a brand new home? Just like a brand new car, right? I mean, it's got that smell, it's got that feel, and they're an easy sell, obviously, and the finished product is beautiful. So I think a lot of people are looking at it like, maybe they got the busy life schedule where they don't have the time to be the weekend warrior to buy a house that might need some work. And it's a great way to build some equity, don't get me wrong, but they're giving their weekends up to fixing a house, right? And you got kids and things going on, and maybe they just pay the premium price, a little bit more money per month on their mortgage payment. Turnkey, brand new construction. I go to work, I have my life, and I'm not working on my house every weekend. So it's different strokes for different folks, I think,
Yeah, I think you're right. And they get the home warranty. I feel like what's changed since COVID is I feel like people respect time a lot more. And I feel like, now people are like, okay, like, how can I do less? And I do feel like that American dream for years was like, buy the house, sweat equity, put it into it. But I think people realize life's so short. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing too is, and not to take away from any of the people nowadays, generation nowadays, but back then I feel like most people were more handy and they were brought up from that kind of background to where they could buy a house and fix it themselves. Yep. What I'm finding with consumers nowadays is that, they're not, really don't know a lot how to fix things up, right? So they're kind of gravitating more towards something that's done, whether it's a rehab, new construction, and, because they'd have to pay top dollar to have a contractor come in and basically rehab some of these older homes if they're going to buy something older.
Yeah, and wages. One thing that probably drives it as well is the wages. Like I feel like wages have increased. Well, I think they said 25% since 2020.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a significant number.
Yeah. And contractors have been busy for a long time. I mean, being in the remodeling business has been very good for the past few years, and it's going to be good going forward because I feel like the generation that are passing these homes on now, right? The 1940s and 1950 homes, right? They cared about the mechanicals and the roofs and the nuts and bolts and structure, but they didn't really focus on too much of the cosmetic, right? Yep. The older generation, that wasn't really hugely important to them. So the homes that you're seeing nowadays that people are buying, they are the older homes. It might be, good strong structures, but they have outdated kitchens, outdated baths, right? And the new generation, they don't want that. They want to have something more modern. So now you're really putting a lot of money into these used homes, older homes that just at this point, a lot of them need that doing all over again,
Yeah, that TLC, and I do feel like, I mean, I'm a little bit biased to new construction because I feel like I've seen both both
Yeah.
instances. And I do feel like the rehabbers get a bad name, and because there's a lot of people that are just rookies getting into it. They don't know. They're not experts in construction. They may be an expert in home sales and knowing values.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people are not experts in construction, which brings a different level of sophistication to the rehab, right?
Sure, yeah. And I think some of them, they probably don't have the capital or just don't have that money saved up just yet to really, they're just starting out. So I've seen I've seen that with some contractors where they started out and maybe the flips weren't that good. And then once they get a few under their belts and get some money and built up, and I see their product getting better.
Yep.
Now I can do it really the right way that I really wanted to do, but the first couple of ones I couldn't really do it the way I wanted to.
Yep.
So I definitely see some people have gotten better as they grew the business and grew the capital and put a better product out there, but they had to start from somewhere.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what is nice, I mean, now we're talking to you guys and we're figuring out, where's the value, right? And I think that in new construction, I think we were all think about how, it's so expensive. It's, like a new house, I can't afford a new house. But I think that builders really got really good at building efficiency homes. And what I mean by that, it's like sometimes I'm not always building the biggest, baddest home because the more we drive that price up, the more buyers that can't afford it. I feel like,
you're shrinking your market.
You're shrinking your buyer pool. And, for an investor like myself, I feel like that's important. I need the biggest buyer pool as possible.
Yeah.
And that's why I think those townhouses are so popular, and the smaller square foot houses are.
Well, knowing your geographical area and the numbers and the data in that area is important. You don't want to be building that big home in an area where it's going to either not sell for that kind of money or sit in the market. So knowing what sells and the average sale price and what people are looking for is important. I see a lot of builders over the years, they just build what they think they want, and then all of a sudden they get stuck sitting on these homes.
Yeah.
Because they really didn't do the research, or maybe they didn't have a realtor or someone that was working with them that talked them, out of, don't build this, build this. I mean, this is what the town needs and what it wants, and a lot of people go into a different town, they don't know, and they start building stuff. I've seen it many times. And the properties are just sitting because they're not really in tune with the local market.
Yep.
And they get kind of stuck. So some of them are better off maybe working where they know better. And if they're going to branch out, maybe looking to professionals in that area that can guide them instead of just picking a house and trying to make it work,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think knowing your area, whether you're in the rehab world, whether you're in the new construction world, knowing your clientele and your geographic areas is huge. How long were we on the market for South Precinct Street?
South Precinct Street, it seemed like forever, right? Because it's always like back in the day, you're on the market for a day or two, right? And now anything more than 2 days is forever. You know, I'm in a business for over 20 years. So, when I say this, people are going to not believe me. But, we were from the time of, 2005, 2006, where we'd have homes in the market for 6-7 months that didn't sell. And that was actually the norm. And
Never happened to me ever.
You tell people that, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, we used to have price reduction meetings with sellers. I hated those. But if you were a seller, I'd say, hey, what are you doing 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, Tuesday at 5 o'clock? Why? Well, I just want to go over the marketing efforts and what's going on with your home. So you'd come into the office, I'd lay out all the marketing stuff on the table and say, this is everything we've been doing for the last 30 days. We don't have any offers. We're not getting a lot of second showings. We got to adjust the price. And after they've seen what you did, they're like, okay, they're working hard. If they see what you're doing, they're more apt to give you the price reduction. Rather, if you don't show them what you're doing, they're like, it's not just price. It might be you.
And that's the
And those are price reduction appointments.
I never even knew that was a thing. Never knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because I want to segue into something because that's the difference between having a professional real estate agent than someone that just does it, maybe not on the side. You can still do it on the side and be great.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're picking an agent, I mean, you need to have someone that, number one, knows the geographic area, right? I see a lot of these out-of-state real estate agents.
May as well, yeah.
They come in and they post something, and I've gotten a couple properties that had double odds, right? And that's how I've done it. So I feel like having your agent, the right agent, is going to be huge for somebody, and I just think that, everybody has a friend, right? That's a real estate agent. And I feel like when you guys are buying your home and you guys are looking for something, whether it's a new construction, just find a professional. I just feel like find the best guy in the area, find the best girl in the area that can really help you out, because I feel like everybody's family's friend has a real estate agent, but I just think that you really should find someone that specializes in what you want.
Yeah.
Because that can really hurt you.
Well, there's ones that work with new construction primarily. They're just resale homes, and they have different, talents and experience. And the thing is and the ones that are picking people they know and friends and family, it's from a trust standpoint, from a trust point, right? And that's fine that you want to pick someone you can trust and but they're not really doing a due diligence to check their background as far as what have they sold, what's their numbers in the past 12 months. I mean, have they sold, are they successful at selling and experience, rather than just I like them, I vibe with them, and I can trust them.
Yep.
Even though that's important, hiring decisions, you got to go a little bit deeper. And do they have the competence and the reach and the connections to really get your home sold or help you buy and negotiate in the best interest for you?
Yeah, I agree. And an easy way to find out, who you're dealing with for an agent is like Google reviews. Google reviews is the Bible these days, right? You go on, see how many stars they have, go on Facebook, see their reviews.
Zillow.
See what they post. Zillow.
A lot of them post their past sales on Zillow.
So, I mean, there's ways to find out, and you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and sometimes when you're working with family, it can be a little difficult because they, it's
Emotion.
Yeah, emotional, and they might not want to complain to their agent that's a relative like they would someone that wasn't. They could be kind of transparent with and.
Yeah, I feel like a good real estate agent will. I mean, I'll kind of. It's funny because my buddy's selling a house right now, and he had someone, a family friend that he trusted, and I feel like someone went in his house and didn't give him. They didn't do their due diligence and want to bring up that stuff that they should have brought up as a realtor. I feel like your job as a real estate agent is, if you're gonna go list a house, like you should be giving some feedback to your customer of, or your client, I should say, like, hey, maybe you should paint this deck, or maybe you should take some pictures down, or maybe you should, get this thing professionally cleaned. Right. You can go out there without the emotion and say that stuff, and put them truly in the right direction and deliver it appropriately where they don't get, sour about it. Yep. But sometimes when you're a family friend, it doesn't really work like that,
True. And it's a fine line with, realtors meeting you for the first time, coming over the house. They might be more gearing towards telling you what you want to hear versus the truth because they don't want to offend you. Yeah. They want you listening, and sometimes the truth can hurt a little bit. So, but it's best to be truthful with the client and say, X, Y, Z, you need to do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah,
unless they don't have the resources to do those things. If they don't have the funds and think, well, that's a different story. But you try to definitely give them the pros and cons, everything, and then in the end, it's the client's decision on what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about new construction a little bit sooner, and it made me think about, yes, the townhouses on duplex, I feel like they have done so well over the years here in the, Massachusetts, south of Boston area, greater Taunton area, Bristol County, Plymouth County. Because I think it's the affordability, and it's brand new, right? Could be a half duplex. Sure, you're sharing a wall, you're sharing someone next to you, right? But for a decent price, you're getting brand new construction, hardwood floors, quartz for tops, countertops.
Yep.
So, where else you going to get that for the price? It's tough. You get into a Colonial or something else, you're going to be in the 600 and 700 range, whereas you might be able to get something under 5 or 470 to maybe 5-ish on a half duplex. That's just as nice as far as the finishes. Some have garages, some don't,
Yeah, I'm a little biased, obviously, because I'm a builder, right? And I understand the real estate market a little bit more, and I don't have emotion tied to it. Like, I can understand where neighbors, get a little people cutting down trees and animals and frogs, and you have more neighbors when you told maybe you weren't going to have neighbors. And I think that's just a transition of the market and the transition of just the world, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a middle ground, right? There's things that you should do, shouldn't do, and unfortunately, I think that money is just money is a problem right now for people, and I think that people just want to rest their head, and you need you need to get things that are affordable, and I think that these smaller houses, I have a lot in Taunton that I'm working on right now, and it's a small lot, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put like a 1,400 square foot house here. Yeah. It's small. That's what people want. I reduce the cost of the build. It doesn't have a big yard. Keep it really simple. Nothing fancy, you know,
Right.
and let's just get somebody in here, you know.
Well, affordability has definitely been the name of the game for the past couple of years. I mean, look at with the tiny homes and the ADUs and everything that's been coming on the scene. You know,
Yeah.
what's your take on those?
You know, I think when people say ADUs, they kind of have this, they have this vision in their head that there's gonna be like a little shed in the corner that people are gonna just throw a tenant in, you know.
And I'm sorry, you probably should explain that for people that might not know what ADU is.
Yeah.
If you want to go into what it is.
Yeah, it's accessory dwelling unit, and essentially it was pretty much designed for to help people find homes, right? Because I feel like everybody needs a home, and you know, maybe if you have extended family, they can go in a garage above a garage, and you can finish it. I think the bylaws are 900 square feet and less. And that intent was to keep them very efficient and
Yeah.
small, and not kind of have like this riffraff of maybe like extra kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, they wouldn't have parking issues. You know, help with the parking issues. So you don't, you know, so I do think that that's the state trying to increase what I think their revenue, right? And
Yeah.
also I think they're trying to help people
Help with
get
the
homes.
inventory shortage. And also, I think also is with the shortage of good land, right, is utilizing the land that's already existing. Right, let's face it, land's tough to find, right? Good
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it too, is where, you know, you can utilize the land that we already have
Yeah.
with the ADUs.
I do like the idea, you know, because I do hope it drives family closer, and it doesn't become like, hey, I just found this tenant on Zillow, I'm gonna throw a tenant in there. You know, I'm hoping it kind of drives like, hey, I'm gonna go stay with my mother. Maybe your mother or father are getting older. Hey, I'm gonna go stay in the ADU, or maybe you put them in the ADU and they hand over the house to you. I'm hoping to see more stuff like that. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, let's face it. I mean, that could take the pressure off some of the, whether it's assisted living or nursing home, right? Instead of the people
Yeah.
with family, right?
Even
So
think about that. That's a solid point.
yeah, I mean that's, and who doesn't want their family with them to take care of them, and so they can keep an eye on
Yeah.
them versus the other alternatives, you know?
Yeah, that's a solid point. I didn't even think about that, but it kind of goes with what I said about, you know, getting that family closer. You don't necessarily need a stranger, right? So, I mean, that's my take on ADUs. I think that, you know, we just have to move with times, and right now, that's
Right.
where we're at.
And besides, like if someone wanted to use that for an extra income, they could,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
that's the other part of it.
Yep.
It's a way that, hey, maybe I'm having a little challenge trying to keep up with my own mortgage. Maybe I can convert the garage or a place above, you know, a Bonnie area, what have you, to supplement the income to help them stay in a home rather than selling it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you see more and more that people need second means of income. Like your typical salary right now can barely keep the lights on. You know, people
Right.
are struggling, right? And I
Right.
think that's the whole point of everything, you know, to try
Yeah.
to drive that and help that. And I hopefully a lot of these tax incentives and new things that they're trying help with the inflation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the inventory has creeped up in 2025. I think for a few reasons. I think sellers out there that have had this, you know, these low interest rates for so long and been waiting on the sideline for these rates to change, right? And they haven't really changed as fast as we'd like over the years. And I think it's really set into the homeowners now. They're like, we're putting our life on hold here now. Year, 2 years. Like, how long are we going to wait for these interest? I think it's just really sinking in.
Yeah.
That, and they're saying they're supposed to stay pretty much level where they are for 2026 as well. You might see some fluctuation, but still kind of the 2026 going to kind of hang like it is now. And I think homeowners are just like, you know what, I'm tired of waiting. And we've seen an influx of listings, which has
Yeah.
caused the market to slow down a little bit in a way of the homes are not appreciating as much every
Yeah.
year that they are now, right?
Yep.
But before they were like, you know, out of control, 7-8% a year, whatever the stats are, depending on where you are. Now they're saying, you know, 2 to 3% a year. So it's not like the prices are coming down and crashing. They're just not appreciating at as a high level per year as they were past couple of years. And I think
Yeah.
people look at that and like, oh, you know, the world's coming to the end because they see these price reductions on Zillow.
Yep.
They see the house is sitting on the market longer, and they're thinking then that's a sign of a crash, which.
Yeah.
You know, the experts are saying, no, it isn't. We still have a lot more buyers than homes available. And the supply and demand on any product, real estate or whatever it is, right, is really going to govern that value and ups and downs of the value of the product.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid point. when you were saying that, I couldn't stop thinking about just like time, right? Like I feel like once I hit 30,
You're on this time kick today.
I'm on this time kick. You know what? Because like it goes.
I'm supposed to be thinking about that more. I'm a lot older than you are.
Literally, but like everything we talk about is usually time and money, right? And I feel like
Yeah, time is money.
like I'm just thinking about it, and it's every week I wake up, it's like, oh my god, it's already Thursday. I'm
Yeah,
like,
oh,
I'm at the gym
flying
this morning.
by.
I'm like, it's Thursday. Like,
Flying
where did
by.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday go? Like, and I feel
Flying
like
by.
it's just like, the older I get, I'm like, okay, 31, 32, 33. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm gonna be 35 before you know it. But I think to correlate to what we're talking about, it's like people are done waiting. Like, I think people appreciate their time in their life right now. And think about it. I mean, the average person lives to like what 80, you know, and I feel like if you're 40, you got 30 probably good summers left. The last 10 are probably going to be like, you know, in and out of the hospital. You might get a bang here, a heart attack here. Hopefully not.
God. I'm doing the math for myself right now.
But I guess it's just like, you know, I think the point is like, I don't know if people care that this interest rate's at 6.25 right now. I think they're going to be like, all right, like whatever, let's get in it. Let's enjoy our time out here with my family, with my kids, and let's refinance if it goes down.
Yeah, I mean, just like the people that refinance into the loans they're in now. If they're at 3%, chances are they were 5 and 5.5% before that.
Yes.
And they were making it work.
Yep.
And the refi market came, they got down, and now it's like 3%, which you probably never see again. But it's like, you know, but they don't want to give that for a 6.5 or 6.25 when they were paying 5.25 before. So, you know, it's when I work with clients, I try to get them to think about the monthly payment because that's what you have to live with. That's your budget. If you got a household budget, but they're fixed on how much can I get for the house? How much can I buy that one for? What's the interest rate? So they're talking about sales prices and interest rates, but they very seldom think about the monthly payment, which is what they really should focus on because that's what you live with every month. Whether you're getting $700 for your house and buying $1 million for the next, like I've sat with folks the other day that says, you know, we think we can afford a house at $650. I says, well, how'd you come up with that number? Well, we just think that's what it is, but they didn't really know what the monthly payment was, and didn't know what they were going to get out of their home. So I sat down with them and said, "Hey, you sell your house, you're going to net $300,000. You take that $300,000 and buy a house for $650 at 6.5%, taxes. Here's your monthly payment." Before I ask them that monthly payment, I say, "What's your max monthly budget? Knowing that you're going to increase your house, you're going to pay a higher mortgage. Where's your ceiling? Where is it? Oh, you know, $3,500 might be the max. Okay." You know, where's it really uncomfortable? Is like $3,800, $4,000 uncomfortable, or $4,000 is really, really uncomfortable? We prefer $3,500, but if we see something like $3,700, $3,800 might work. So as a realtor, now I know like $4,000 is real uncomfortable. $3,500 is like golden for them. But if it's good enough, $3,600, $3,700 might work, right? So now I got something I can really help them with because they're telling me like where they are, right? So then I'll do all the numbers and I'm like, hey, great news. Look at it. It's $3,500 to buy that house you like that you showed me on Zillow based on the money I'm getting out of your home. And they're like, you lay it out like that. You're like, wow, that's $200 less a month than we thought. We can get that house for that price, that monthly payment. I'm like, yeah. Every house has different tax base, right? So you got to look at the house and do the homework. But once you show them that monthly payment, all they know is like, I can get the house for that payment. Okay, that works. Because isn't that what it's about? House I want, monthly payment I want, that will work for me. I'm good. Everything else is irrelevant as far as all the other numbers.
Yeah, I'm glad. Let's focus in on that a little bit because I feel like they should really understand that because I feel like if you're in an existing house, let's put it this way, you're in an existing house that you've been in for, let's say 5 years. Yeah. You're guaranteed probably to have appreciation, you know.
Of probably 35, 40%, 5-6 years.
So think about this. So everybody's thinking about, hey, I can't afford that $800,000 house, a $700,000 house. But if you get equity of $200,000, the interest rate and the cost of the home does not really matter because to your point is like you're going to put that down payment that's tax-free for right now onto that house and you're driving that monthly payment down, which is the only thing that matters. I think that's the level of thinking they need. So I think that's a good way for your clients to think about it for sure.
Yeah, go through the formula and do all the figures. I find a lot of clients, you know, they're putting a house on the market, but they haven't done the research on what it's going to cost for the next home. And sometimes that's where you see a house goes on the market and then it's withdrawn, right? Because then they're like doing the numbers to like after they list the
Yep.
home versus before you list the home.
100%.
So
Also, you know what industry has mastered starting with a payment is the auto industry.
yeah,
So like you'll never go to a dealership and they're never gonna tell you this car is $60,000. It's always like it's gonna be $629 a month, Mr. Gouveia.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, so how much it costs? But we can get you down to $619 a month.
yeah, all about the payment, right?
Yeah, it's all about the payment.
Yeah.
To your point, it's
got
it's
it
a solid
down.
way of thinking about
They
it.
got
you
it
know what
down
I mean?
pat because that's what you have to live with, folks. Every month is that payment,
Yeah.
regardless what the interest rate is, regardless what you're paying for the house,
Yeah.
regardless of what you're selling your house for.
100%.
So that's really.
So Dan, how do you know if someone's a good fit for you as a client?
Well, definitely, I feel like, you definitely got to ask the right questions and be open with what their goals are and try to get a feel on how it is to work with them because everybody's a little bit different. The personalities, right? I feel like personalities definitely have to click to work well with one another. If you have someone that makes decisions really fast and they don't spend the time to really listen to the data and, kind of, type A personality, I guess you would say, like just don't want to spend a lot of time. Just tell me what I got to do and the facts, kind of a quick thing. It might be tough to work with them in a way where you're trying to slow them down and look at the data and understand things before they make decisions. What I'm saying is they may make decisions and regret it later because they're not really thinking it through.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of reel them back and hopefully they follow your lead and accept you to pull them back a little bit. Because if you try to pull a client back, they might get upset at you,
Yeah.
So it's important. And the same thing with someone that's just doesn't make decisions very quick and they overanalyze things, right? To where it's tough to get them to decide to do anything because they're analyzing, they're afraid, they just don't make decisions fast enough. And if the market moves, which it does move quick at times, right? Sometimes faster than others, they lose out because they get that analysis kind of paralysis time like type. So you got to kind of really identify the personality of the client.
You think that's the most important thing?
I do. And I think, if anybody knows personality assessments when they go for a job interview or an employer, there's a thing out there called a DISC profile that, you fill out a questionnaire and it kind of gives you an idea of the personality that, because it's important to know as an employer for your position what type of person is going to be, to fill that position, right? Do I need someone that's dominant, a leader, or do I need someone that's more or less attention to details, admin position, right? Slow and steady, right?
Yep.
So our clients all have those personalities too. And I think the faster you learn the personality of the client, and it can get tricky because a husband can be one way and a wife can be the other way.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you sit in front of the table and both of them and they both receive information differently because they have different personalities?
Yeah.
And that's a trade, that's a skill that an agent has to have as far as I'm going to talk to you one way that you like to receive information, and may turn to the wife and say, does that make sense to you, Sally?
Yeah.
In a way where it's a different tonability and everything else. This is how they understand, and the husband. So literally can toggle back and forth to them, one or the other, with a different delivery in front of both of them. Totally two different deliveries.
How do you deal with like a divorce situation? Because I'm assuming you sold a lot of houses with divorce situations.
Ton of them, yeah. And it's been increasing too. It's been increasing. I don't know if it's just, well, think about it. The economy.
It's tough.
The economy.
We talked about this. The financials. I feel like the financials are the what? Like, I feel like you could be rocky with your significant other, right? And then if you throw money into it, financial like instability, it's
well, everybody's
terrible.
argued over money one point or another in a relationship, and it's that thing where it puts a stress on a lot of us because we want that certainty, we want that comfort, knowing that we can afford our bills and we can buy food, and it's understandable.
Yep.
You throw out an economy that's rough in it, then all of a sudden, the things get a little stricter and tighter, and all of a sudden the arguments become increased.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that contributes to the increase of divorces and separations.
Yeah. So have you? I'm just curious. I'm asking for myself. Like, do you have sometimes meet with them separately, together, different? Like, I just feel like you almost have to be like. I feel like as an agent, it's almost like being a barber. I feel like you have to be like some type of a psychologist as well.
Well, this is the thing, and Yeah, sometimes you do have to talk to them separately at first, but I always reassure them that we're going to be. You guys are going to get the same message that I'm giving one message to one side, the other side's
Yeah.
going to get the same message. I'm not going to have separate conversations. Because that's when it's
Convoluted.
Yeah. So essentially, I tell them, don't tell me anything that you wouldn't want the other side to know, because I have to be transparent with this.
Yeah.
I'm hired to sell your property.
Yep.
I need to stay down that middle line to help you. I'm not one side or the other. I need to get your home sold, get you the most money, but I'm not a divorce attorney. I'm not a counselor, right? So
Yeah.
I'll listen. I'll take notes, right, of because sometimes I just want to vent. That's fine. But I learned, especially in this business over the years, is listening is key, especially with divorce. Pay attention and listen even more with divorce. And make sure you respect both parties. You're not talking bad about one or the other because you're with this one and, you should do it. Don't take sides. Stay straight. You're the realtor. You're the professional. Their emotions are up and down. I heard this from a friend of mine the other day, and I thought it was cool. He was doing a graph online on one of his reels, and he was explaining that, with clients, their emotions are up and down during the process of a sale, whether it's divorce or not. It's just they get excited, right? And then all of a sudden they get kind of down a little bit. Oh, I'm selling my house. I've been here for 10 years. We've had a lot of memories here. And so their emotions are spiking up and down during the process. And our job as a realtor, and it sounds kind of mean in a way, but you almost have to be non-emotional for them to keep things level and keep things going forward and get them to the closing table and get process
So that's
done.
your job, right?
Right.
At the end of the day.
It's not to be insensitive, but
Yeah.
you can't be emotional with them all over the place because then you got no leadership. So it's kind of like we're kind of keeping that steady line and helping to manage their levels, spikes up and down of their emotions during the process to make it smoother and less painful for them and get to the closing table.
Yeah. I was interested in that because I feel like you see them all the time, right? And my friends have gone through it. It's just like it's really just it's super combative. So it's just like to work through that. It's probably tough.
Yeah, I have them on both the emails. They get the same messages. Like they get the same updates. But
clients like me.
Unfortunately, I've gotten pretty good at it over the years with them. Maybe not as good in the beginning, but learning.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like getting better at it. But they know that I'm not picking sides. I'm here to sell the real estate and treat them fairly, respect them, do the best job, and I think they respect that openness and transparency.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, so me and Dan were just chatting about he gets a lot of calls about hey, I want to buy this piece of land. I want to build a house.
Yeah.
And and he asked me what I thought about it, and I'm like, well, it's super challenging for me to get through that process, and
you do it every day.
And I do it every day, right? And there's so many hoops with every town department, engineering, architects, planning, permitting, building it, dealing with subcontractors, and this goes back to my later concern about like when you can be a professional in real estate, but like you may not be a professional general contractor or know everything about that trade.
Right.
So I think that to touch on that, it's extremely hard, right? And I think that most people probably don't get to the finish line. I'm just being real. You know?
I feel like years ago, it was easier maybe, or you heard more of someone buying a piece of land. Uncle Joe come over, help build a house, and they all lived to have happy ever after. But now it's like they're reaching out and they want to find land and build, and they don't know the process. They don't know where to start. It's not easy to find good land, as you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of this land that's online has been sitting there for a reason. It's either doesn't have access, doesn't have frontage, it's full of wetlands, or it needs a lot of money to make it improved enough to be a buildable lot. And now it's not even worth the money to spend on it because now you're over paying for the land by the time you're improving it.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy, and not to discourage, but just want to be transparent that if you're out there looking for land and to build your own house, you really want to do your due diligence and not just jump into it and all of a sudden you're buying a piece of land that you're stuck with that you can't do much with, and there's a lot more involved in it. So.
Yeah, just you definitely should plan. I think everything from the lending aspect, getting approved, because you're typically already in a house, right? Now you got to get approved and do an interest-only loan, which adds adds cost, right? And we were talking about earlier, like how we try to reduce the cost as a builder to build these homes so people can live in them, right? And from the moment you purchase the land, start the interest-only loan, you pay the subcontractors, and you're probably not even getting, as a consumer, you're probably not getting the same pricing as somebody that does a lot of volume, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I do think it's going to take some time and money to get there, and I think that by the time you're done, you're probably going to be well over budget, and I feel like time is everything right now. So,
Right,
and something that may cost me, maybe 500 grand could be 720, 750 for a consumer, right?
Right.
So I just think that it's something to think about, and I'm not saying don't do it, right? But I think that, like, some people it works, right? Maybe your husband is a contractor and you maybe you inherited the land. Okay, it works, right? The land's free. You're paying taxes only. You get the loan, and now you have the equity for the down payment because you put a lien on the land to build the home. So I think there's a lot of instances where it does work. Where I think it does not work is when you go buy a piece of land that's retail, and then you're trying to get this thing to comp out with the new construction rates that you're getting for building. The bank probably won't back it.
Right.
And to go back to our original point. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's a question for Dan. I think that having a solid real estate agent that has those connections, knows budgeting, knows where the numbers could lie, helps, right? One thing I do like about Dan, and not to pump his tires, but like I feel like he always puts himself in my shoes, right? And he may not know the numbers as good as me, but he'll take a whack at it, right? He'll get close, and he's like, "Hey, does this work? This has to work for all parties, Versus some agents are just in it for themselves, and I feel like that's an easy read from somebody that's in the business, So I do respect that. To go back to when you're picking agents and you're picking people that do this. Some people specialize in condos, new construction. Some people have just been in the game so long that they've done it all, right?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I mean, I had a past client of mine. I've sold a few of their homes and helped them buy a few homes to live in.
Yeah.
And they want to take a crack at flipping a home, and they bought a home some time ago. At the time, they seemed to pay a pretty decent price for it, good deal. But they took a long time to rehab it. We're talking like a couple of years. And originally they were going to live in the house.
Yep.
And things changed, and then now it was time to sell it. And we got it sold, and it was a little overpriced for a little bit. Just had to make one adjustment, but we're trying to minimize any kind of loss, and try to make him some money for his investment, And but here's a guy that wasn't a professional flipper, took a crack at it. Fixed it up too nice, right? You can do that. Fix it up too nice, like you're going to live there, but you're eating away at your profit, right? Overdoing it. And, just looking at him like, Jesus, I'm going to make more money than he is. I started to feel guilty. I'm going to make more money than he does. And he took the 2 years to fix it and put money into it, and I didn't. So at that point, he's a past client of mine. I ended up discounting my commission to help him make a little bit more money because I felt like he deserved it.
Yeah.
Even though he had to learn the hard way, I didn't want to see this guy lose money, and so he did okay with it, not as good as he wanted, but at least he didn't lose, and he learned a valuable lesson as well.
Yeah.
If you're going to go in and flip, you got to get in and out quick, and you got to not overbuild it. You got to know where your margins are, but that's what a pro does. If you do it all the time, they know those numbers, So flippers out there, they call and they haven't done a lot and they want to get into it. You really got to learn and research before you just jump in and make mistakes.
Yeah, it's definitely harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I walked in Dan's office. I'm like, this is so hard. And he's like, I feel you. And we started laughing because, business is hard, right? Flipping is a business. We call it flipping, but realistically, it's an active business. I'm not just flipping a house. I'm generating business, right? Mm-hmm. So, business is just hard. So if you're getting into it, you got to be resilient. You got to be on it. You got to ask questions. You got to, ask the right questions to the right people. Whether you message me, Dan, anybody that and you just have the right questions to ask. Don't have emotion.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like your client, if he made $5,000, that's a hell of a win if you think about it in the perspective of an investment. Some people leave college and don't have a job, and they're in they're in debt 150 grand, right?
Right.
So I think that he learned a valuable lesson and a lot of skills that he can take to the next one.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I've been hearing some things out there. Maybe you can clear it up or speak about it. Is that buyers, some builders that may offer incentives to a buyer buying their new construction, right? Whether it's using their own bank, do they get some special maybe interest rates or deals if you use the builder's bank, right, to buy the property? If someone's like, for instance, I have someone that's buying a custom build, so it's the land and then the build, and it's not a spec. So, and they're using the builder's bank. And just in general, even if it wasn't a custom build and a spec, are there any kind of builder incentives that are being offered out there to buyers to, whether it might be as a small little point credit towards, lowering down their interest rate, or any kind of perks that you can speak of from a builder standpoint? I'm hearing it's out there. I don't see a lot of it, but
I don't. I haven't had to get creative like that yet. No. I do feel like our inventory moves fast. We just put the duplex on the market last week. Both sides are under agreement. Which is still pretty good. We had a ton of 30, 40 showings, but we didn't have a ton of offers. But I haven't had to get creative like that. But if I had to, I would. Right.
But probably certain markets obviously have to.
I just think that it goes back to knowing where you're at. I think if you're down in Orlando right now, I think that anybody's doing everything they can to get the thing moved, right? But I think that the Northeast hasn't really been hit that hard yet. I think it's possibly coming, right? You know better than I am, than I would. But no, I haven't really had any incentives. Right now, if you can, we have 12 more units to sell. What we're telling people is, if you kind of get in early, you can kind of pick your granite or your quartz. You can come in, pick some paint colors. We don't want to change it too much because we want to keep it on budget, because people can get really kind of crazy really fast, and it's something that they may not even need, and they get that emotional attachment. So I will kind of steer them down that direction. Say, hey, you can always do that down the road. You don't need, this 5-inch 3/4 wood flooring right now. You can get away with 2 1/4. Down the line, 5 years, 10 years, if you're still here, maybe you change it out. Granted, 5 years ago, money was being thrown around. It's like, upgrade, no problem. I want to do gold fixtures. I think it's just different now, and I think that it goes back to people just want a pillow to sleep on at night. A dry roof and. So that's
not have to work on it after they pay the mortgage payment.
Then you don't have to work on it, So I think that, and a lot of people are working from home now, right? So having that office and that efficiency house with the office is really helpful, Some of the houses are smaller now, right? But the good thing is if you have a stager, you can stage that as an office, and it kind of gives them that vision, all right, I have one kid. I don't even know if I'm going to have another kid in the near future. If I do, I'll figure it out. But hey, I'll keep this as an office. This thing's under 500,000. It works.
Right.
I'll live, right?
Congratulations on the release of your new book.
Thank you.
The Resilient Entrepreneur. Get your copy on Amazon.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that book?
Thanks for purchasing it. I released the book about a month and a half ago. And it was definitely one of the hardest things I had to do. Just purely. Mostly because it's the focus that it takes, right? And I'm very good at doing a lot of things at once. Not very good at dialing in on one thing, especially when it takes an extended period of time, which the editing kind of really did. I didn't edit it in total. I had an editor, but still it needed to be read by me, and then I needed to tie into other chapters and all that good stuff. And it was going to be out there forever, right? So I'm like, my kids are going to read this thing. They're going to think I'm an idiot. But what I did learn throughout the process is how much I started 2 years ago.
I was going to ask you how long you worked on it for 2 years.
And I rewrote it 8 months ago because I'm I've grown so much in a couple years, and I didn't really give myself the opportunity to really have that feeling again, because I needed to check this box and be hey, it's done. But it was a very good healing. It was much needed for healing. I ended up talking about my childhood through it, just so you guys don't know what it's about. We kind of talk about my childhood, my adversities growing up, and essentially how you can really turn that into that adversity into success. And you know, the whole point of the book was like, hey, if I've done it, anybody can do it. Like, there's nothing special about me. I didn't grow up with $1 million in the bank. You know, I worked hard for everything I've done, and you know, I feel like a lot of people have a ton of adversity in their life, and you know, different levels too, right? Some have more tragic, but also some people. What I've been learning when I was writing the book, like some people just have different levels that they can handle. Yeah. Something that's really not a big deal to me could be a huge deal to you, right? So right. I think that everybody has adversity, and I'm like, this is a kind of a genius idea. I want to get this book out there because I feel like I could help so many people, and if I could help just maybe 5 people open a business or realize that they don't have it that bad, that they can overcome this. Yeah. I just pretty much taught people not to quit in that book, and that if I can do it, anybody can. Yeah. So a lot of inspiration. We've all been inspired by something from something during our lives that hopefully sends us to the next level of what we want to do. Yeah. You know, and that could have gone 2 ways. You know, some people take that and unfortunately don't use it for an advantage, and some people do. Yeah. I usually find and kind of witness, it seems like the people that gone through the most challenges at a younger age seem to be some of the most successful people. Maybe they're just always used to the fighting and grinding and overcoming something, and you know, and they just become that just tough, never give up type of mentality. Versus if you got more of a, you know, childhood where maybe things were a little bit easier and you didn't have to work as hard for things, it could be a little different. So it's kind of interesting to see where, you know, people's lives kind of started from, you know, what they went through, and then continually to grow, or the ability to grow from it, you know. Yeah, and we do get into that a lot, and it kind of goes into like, you know, the basics of business and marketing, and I put that in there really because like I really wanted people to grab this thing in high school or right after high school, and you know, pick it up and kind of just realize that it's not as hard as it looks, right? You know, and you're just gonna start. Right? You know how it is. I mean, you said what did you do before real estate? You did boats, right? I was a boat mechanic, and I also did building in the winter because boats in New England didn't happen in the winter time. You had your spring, summer, you had your fall, winterization, and then from November to March, I was, you know, banging nails and building houses, which gave me a great construction background that I really love. Yeah, and I think that, I mean, to your point, it's just like I feel like you just have to stay consistent. Yeah. You have to pick something you want to do, you're passionate about, right? Because I feel like that passion is what ties to like your drive. Discipline. And discipline, habit every day, and you just be consistent. And I don't really think there's any secrets. It's just like pick what you like to do, focus on it, and you're going to win. Yeah. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be in 6 months, but 12. We were just coming in here, and Dan was talking about his social media, and I remember talking to him like over a year ago about it, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna start doing these videos and this and that, and you know, and he was talking about the videos that I have, and I told him how like my successes that I've had, and he was just saying that you know, everything's getting traction, you know, he's getting more viewers and engagement, and I feel like that kind of goes to what we're talking about. Like I feel like, you know, he was disciplined, consistent, which is like anything in life, right? You want to work out, you have to go for a long period of time to see results. Yeah. So the whole point is to, you know, you got to be resilient. You have to be disciplined. So if you know anybody that, you know, would like to read the book, you know, get it as a birthday gift, Christmas gift. It's $10. You know, absolutely. Definitely not getting rich off of it. No. And I'll hold it up once again. That's what the book looks like there. Nice. Grab it on Amazon today. I got to finish it. I did start it. I see. He's not too far, so I'm going to call him out. I'm going to see if he can finish this thing by the end of August. I got to get on it for sure. He doesn't have a beautiful cape house on the beach or anything that he can put his feet up on a Sunday. I'll tell you. It's but you know, sometimes when I'm reading a book, I get in that relaxed mode, you know, and all of a sudden I'm falling asleep. I'm like, yeah. I wake up and I only got 2 pages done. I'm like, oh my God, you know. And what did I just read? Yeah. So I hope you guys got something out of this. You know, follow us for more upcoming episodes. We hope that you found some value in this one. Spread the news. If you need to reach out to us, you can inbox us or just drop a comment below. And Mark, I appreciate you coming in. Until next time. Yeah, I appreciate it. Enjoy. Yeah, thanks for all your insight.